China has opened up enormous opportunities for Russian farmers. But let's talk about this right after we list the new enterprises of the agro-industrial complex in the food industry that opened in September 2023 in our country. According to the publications of the website, Made With Us, in September 2023, 9 new and modernized enterprises of the agro-industrial complex in the food industry were opened with investments of more than 100 million rubles each. Smaller enterprises were not included in the review, including 4 new large facilities with investments of more than 1 billion rubles each have been launched. The total amount of funds invested in the projects is more than 21 billion rubles. So, Neva Milk has launched a new cheese production plant, City of Cheese, in the Kursk region. The company, which traces its history back to 1969, has modern equipment installed. The volume of investments in modernization amounted to over 2 billion rubles. The plant produces semi-hard, hard and processed cheeses, as well as butter. The planned production volume is 12,000 tons of cheese per year, butter 3,000 tons per year when processing milk over 300 tons per day. One of the largest oil production plants in Europe has started operating in Togliatti. It was opened on the territory of the Togliatti Special Economic Zone. The plant was built in a year and a half. It was equipped with modern equipment for complex cleaning and packing of oils. The Togliatti Cabinet of Food Products is designed to process 600,000 tons of oil daily per year. These are sunflower, rapeseed and ice. Investments in the first stage amounted to 15 billion rubles. Thanks to the launch of the enterprise, over 700 jobs were created in the region. In the Amur region, the first stage of a livestock complex for 1,500 cows was put into operation. The farm is called Ray. So far, 870 cows have been settled on it. Another 600 cows will be delivered to the farm by the end of this year. The rest of the animals will be purchased in 2024. The cost of the first stage of the livestock complex exceeds 2 billion rubles. The company will provide 80 jobs. The total declared capacity of the complex is 2,400 heads. When reaching the design capacity, the farm will produce 15,000 tons of milk per year. A grain drying complex has been put into operation in the Leningrad region. It was launched by the company, PZ Prinevskaya. Investments in the project are estimated at 800 million rubles. The seed center will appear in the region with the commissioning of the grain drying complex of the Prinevskaya company. The complex is completely controlled by electronics. A complex for growing and processing peas and beans has been launched in the Tula region. It was opened in the village of Seleznevo, Plavsky district. The complex will create up to 100 new jobs. Legumes for processing will come from the company's own fields with an area of 1,700 hectares. It is assumed that the gross harvest of peas will be up to 5,000 tons, and string beans, up to 8,000 tons per year. The construction of the production cost 1 billion rubles. A modern greenhouse complex has been put into operation in the Kumtar-Kalinsky district of Dagestan. Managing Director Magomed Gasambegov said that the area of the greenhouse complex is 5 hectares. 2 years ago, 1 hectare of the greenhouse was put into operation, having made sure of the expediency of expansion. This year another 4 hectares were put into operation. The greenhouse complex is equipped with modern engineering systems, such as fog generation systems, drip irrigation and automatic microclimate control. A new elevator with a capacity of 12,000 tons has been opened in the Kurchatov district of the Kursk region. The construction of the elevator began at the beginning of the year. 300 million rubles were allocated for this purpose. It is equipped with everything necessary for the reception and release of grain in any type of transport, which allows you to solve the logistics issue. The structure of the grain elevator includes a storage warehouse consisting of 4 silos with a volume of 3,000 tons each, a grain reception point with a volume of 100 cubic meters, a dryer with a capacity of 50 tons per hour and 2 sorting for grain processing with a capacity of 100 tons per hour each, as well as a post for shipping and receiving grain by road. A new complex for the production of confectionery products has opened in Stavropol. The production will specialize in the production of flour confectionery products. The workshop is capable of producing up to 2.5 tons of products per hour. The total cost of the project is about 370 million rubles. The modernization of the Belgorod meat processing plant of the Sabagra pig complex has been completed. The transformations ensured an increase in the output of pork products to 130,000 tons per year. The deboning capacity will be 140 tons per shift. The staff has been expanded by 200 people. In the near future, the company will start supplying chilled meat, offal and semi-finished products under the Sabagra brand to the Central Russian market, and in the future intends to resume exports to Belarus, Vietnam, Hong Kong and the EA/EU countries. To restart the meat processing plant, it was necessary to make adjustments at all production sites. Due to the installation of tile freezing devices, the freezing time of products has been reduced and the use of warehouse complex areas has been optimized. A separate line has been allocated for the packaging of large-sized pork. In 2 years, all production sites have been reconstructed on the territory of the Belgorod Sabagra pig complex. The livestock of 500,000 pigs of one-time maintenance has been updated. the feed mill and the meat processing plant have been modernized. Well, now about China, which has opened up enormous opportunities for our farmers. Russia is increasing food exports to China at an incredible pace. It is growing at times, both in tons and in money. Last year, the trade turnover between our countries increased by a third and is growing at the same pace in 2023. At the end of this year, Russia will reach the $200 billion target, Russian President Vladimir Putin said. 2 years ago, no one expected that this bar would be reached so quickly. It is interesting that the export of our agricultural products is gaining strength, which this year shows phenomenal growth. For 8 months of this year, Russia exported to China more than 5.5 million tons of agricultural products, which is 2.7 times more than in the same period last year. In terms of money, supplies have grown almost 2 times. This has led to the fact that China has become a leader among buyers of Russian food. What products does China buy from Russia? First of all, the Chinese buy a lot of vegetable oil, which is often used for cooking. Moreover, if in Indonesia and Malaysia the Chinese buy mainly cheap palm oil, then in Russia it is more high quality and expensive, rapeseed, sunflower and soybean oil. Moreover, if earlier our oil was in its raw form, now it is mostly in bottles. Thus, the export of rapeseed oil from Russia to China has grown more than 3 times, up to 1 million tons and more than 2 times in money. The main supplier of this oil in China is the Krasnodar territory, Kaliningrad, Moscow, Belgorod, Kursk regions and Primorsky Krai. The export of sunflower oil has grown unusually sharply by 9 times, up to 615,000 tons and almost 6 times in value. This may be due to the poor harvest of sunflower in Argentina, the main supplier. But the main product in the line of vegetable oils in China is, of course, soy. China can consume 2 million tons of soybean oil in just a week. Of course, Russia is not the main supplier here, but there are successes in this segment as well. Soybean oil exports from Russia to China increased by 2 times, to 82,000 tons. Also, the export of sprat and cake has almost doubled, to 266,000 tons. Another important Russian product that the Chinese are snapping up is fish and seafood. China has become the #1 buyer. The export of frozen fish from Russia to China has grown almost 2 times, to 629,000 tons and by a third in money. The supply of crustaceans is almost 1.7 times, up to 20,000 tons. 900 Russian fishing companies have received permission to export seafood to China. In a way, our exporters are helped by Japan, which in August began to drain polluted water from the destroyed Fukushima nuclear power plant. China called this behavior selfish and banned the import of unsafe fish from Japan. Russia recently followed this example. However, it will not be easy to replace Japanese fish supplies to China, because Russia supplies the Chinese with completely different fish. These are mainly frozen pollock, cod and herring. In 2023, Russia began exporting dried peas to China for the first time. Almost 300,000 tons were shipped in 8 months. And here, too, Russia has huge prospects for further growth. Russia has the potential to increase the supply of agricultural products to China. Among the most promising categories are exports of fish and seafood, cereals, meat products and vegetable oils. Particular attention should be paid to pork exports. Until September 2023, China banned pork supplies from Russia for 15 years due to the alleged spread of African plague. However, Russia has managed to prove that the situation is under control, and if, for example, some disease breaks out in one region, then it is possible to close this region, but it is not necessary to close supplies from all over Russia. However, the ban has not yet been formally lifted. So far, China has officially recognized the regionalization of Russia. This is an important step, but there are still formalities, including obtaining a veterinary certificate and agreeing on the conditions for the import of our pork. It can take a few more months, which is not long compared to 15 years of negotiations. After settling all the formalities, Russian pig breeders can start fighting for their piece of pie in the tasty Chinese market. China consumes almost 3 million tons of pork and offal every year. For comparison, Russia produces almost 6 million tons of pork in live weight. But it's really not so easy to break into the Chinese pork market, since pig breeders from Brazil, the USA, Canada and Spain have already settled here well. Russia has come a long way from an importer of pork to an exporter. For the first time, our pork supplies abroad exceeded imports in 2019. Now Russia is among the top 10 largest global suppliers, passing ahead of the leaders of the EU, USA, Brazil, Canada and Mexico. Last year, Russia exported almost 150,000 tons of pork. This year it is expected to grow to 230,000 tons. If all the details on the opening of pork exports can be settled with China, then even higher growth rates of total food exports can be expected in 2024. The growth of exports of the agro-industrial complex to China is associated with the development of our agro-industrial complex itself within the framework of the import substitution policy, as well as the exchange rate difference.